Didn't have one iota, one millisecond of doubt.
Sweetheart. Well, someone said to me, you've had a great year right at that point. Well, losing is, I go, F losing. And that person reminded me, one of the great hedge fund guys, of course you have doubt, but you believe. And think about the amorphous group of people in a huddle, all from different backgrounds, different learning ability, different skill sets, coming together and putting out. I mean, it's the same way in a they believe in one another. And that's so important in corporate America, that you believe in your leadership at the top and you have a culture of humility and respect that you can overcome any odds. And that only happens when everyone checks their ego on in the front door when they come in the building.
So it's the power of integration, the power of teamwork together.
But very different.
But is your relationship with Brian, I mean, if you have a project and you want to go ahead with it, and he says, I don't think it's, what happens?
It's always been there as a support system. And so it's existed as a kind of an alliance, and so my role has been to sort of come and go and make these movies, and when I'm making a movie or directing a television pilot, I'm really all in, and I pay attention to what's going on in the company, but my job is to try to make something that's going to be profitable and is going to make the company proud. Brian is in those trenches on a company level all of the time. But if one of us loves something and the other one doesn't, we always support it. Now, there's a disinclination to do something your partner doesn't like, and you certainly test. It's a good test. It's a good litmus test. But that support has always been there. However, we always know, I always know anyway, in my heart of hearts, that when we're aligned on something, our batting average is pretty spectacular.
So this is not like, I think Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, if one disagrees, they don't do it. You may know, I think that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm going to interject because I have the privilege of being pretty good pals with better friends. I know Brian Grazer better, and I think in some ways the way you two work is the way we try to get our team work. You're very different individuals. I mean, you're both artists, but in a different way, and yet you're respectful, and I think you both check your ego at the front door when something's important to the other and buy in.
Yeah.
And if one of you, that's really what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we fight as a family internally, but always have a united front.
It's because I do wear a couple of hats, it's particularly interesting. On the creative side, and it's, along with Brian, we're storytellers. And it's an exciting time because you can tell more specific stories to niche audiences and have and it can be a viable a business decision as well. So creatively, it's liberating, and particularly the subscription models that aren't necessarily driven by ratings and box office. They're driven by other factors that affect the parent company, drive the stock and so forth. So in many ways, at this moment, that's creatively very liberating, and it's created a very competitive, experimental and ambitious period, and it is benefiting the creative community. I think it's benefiting audience members and viewers.
On these ideas, I think it's an interesting time because if I was a client, I wouldn't want to buy something just because it's creative. And earlier on in my career, I used to try and sell things just on the creativity of something, and I'd be almost furious if they didn't see the genius that I saw or whatever. It was like, this is great. And why should they buy something because it's creative? They should buy something because it's right and good for their business and answering what they need. So I like them to understand that we're doing it, that there's a thought process in why we're doing it. It's not an exercise in how creative I am.
Yeah.
And there's probably back in my earlier career, it was just a creative at all cost type of thing. but also the scale of America. You know, I want them to understand that there is rigor and a backbone to this idea. So that's the way we do it. You know, I always joke that, you know, every client comes to Droga 5 for our creative, hires us because of our strategy, and stays because of our account service and production department. You know what I mean?
Great quote. Write that one down.
No, it's true. Like they sort of work. They all. It's an ecosystem that has to be complementary, and there's an alchemy between that. But it's all in service of the creative ideas we put out there. You know, I have a saying in the office, which is I'm probably mocked behind my back for saying it, but I'm like, if you tell me that blowing up the moon is the right idea, I will try and blow up the moon. It's only a one-off campaign, though. You can't do it more than once.